All right, we're live.
Good evening and welcome to the April 14th Board of Supervisors regular meeting. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda. I'd like to add a second comment period, 12.3.
Second then?
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, at this time, the chair will recognize a motion for approval or amending the minutes of the March 10th, 2026 meeting.
Recommend that we approve the March 10, 2026 meeting minutes as presented.
I'll second the motion. Discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 2-0. Same thing for the April 8th, 2026 public hearing transcript. Is that available?
That is not available, but it is literally word for word, so there wouldn't be anything that you'd be changing in it anyways. As soon as I get them, I'd like to be able to put them right onto the website, and so I'll probably get them before the next meeting.
Well, I'll make a motion then the public hearing transcript of the April 8th meeting be inserted into our website as soon as the manager receives it.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
At this time, that opens up the first round of public comments. Anyone have any public comments on anything that is on the agenda?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mike, you'll have to turn it on.
I thought he got it.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, Mike won. I'm sorry, Kate was pointing to something else for me. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Mike Birdhouse, 1215 Canal Road Extended. Say that the truck traffic on Canal Road Extended seems to be increasing again. I just wonder if maybe some signage between Canal Road Extended and their driveway pointing to UNFI would help those trucks to stop them turning up Canal Road by accident. Whether that would be something that could help alleviate that problem of those trucks turning up Canal Road Extended. Just throwing that out there as a possible help, because I know a lot of trucks coming up there, they pretty much slow to a stop, trying to figure out where they're going to turn at. And it backs things up a little bit from time to time. So that might help alleviate that situation, so they can get some signage here, pointing at their driveway is farther up. I sent some pictures to Kate. The lawn service for DHL, they have those industrial lawnmowers, and they really shoot the clippings out the side of their tractors. And it's going on to the arborvitae bushes behind me and my next door neighbor, and it's killing the lower 3.5 to 4 foot high of the bushes from that debris getting thrown on there. That needs to be stopped.
Mike, I'm glad you said something to me out there because I started pondering it, so I'd have to defer to Attorney Miller on this one, but we can send them something and try to get a hold of somebody, to see if they can just remedy it that way. But
I haven't seen them out there yet.
But if they don't do anything, we don't have any ordinances that I mean, we can look again, but I don't believe we do have any ordinances. It might end up becoming a civil dispute if they don't react to what we try to get them to do. Okay?
I'm looking for myself to try and get on there's numerous grasses going the other way, but they haven't been out yet.
Okay. But we will try. We will try. Okay?
And then also, the noise coming from DHL is getting worse. And I was wondering if the township could do something where they could ask DHL to move all their refrigeration units to the east side of their building, so we can find out if it's the refrigeration units or the air conditioning units on top of the building causing all this noise.
I'd also have to defer to Attorney Miller on that, but we have tried to do that in the past, and they come back with a lawyered response on why they don't need to do that.
facility is being utilized by a lot of trailers, but they're all regular trailers, they're not refrigerated trailers. So that would be an easy way to find out if it is the actual refrigeration units on those trailers, or if it's the refrigeration units on the roof of DHL that's causing all this noise, that's causing us so many headaches.
The next thing I would say is, to the board here, is, well, number one, you would remember that DHL did 2 different noise studies in 2 different years, and it came up within the limits of our ordinance at that time. I don't think we had our newly established noise ordinance, just yet when they did that last noise study. But basically, just remember how that would work is if you did elect to, do the study, and they come up that they're within the limits and not in violation of the ordinance, then we would be eating that cost. However, if they are in violation, then we can enforce that. And Attorney Miller, if you want, you can chime in.
I think that would be a very good goodwill effort by DHL for the community to try and alleviate this some way, if that would be a possibility to try for a couple of weeks, see what happens.
Right, you have new noise standards with the noise ordinance that would apply at least to the trucks there. You may have a little more difficulty applying that to the actual structures and facilities that were built and tested previously under the old noise standards. But you could, if the board wants to, you could commission that testing to see where they stand in relation to the noise standards, if they're within those or not.
We do have a baseline, correct?
I think so, you never had to do a sound study before, did you?
Yeah, we had trouble with vibration and noise.
I'm pretty sure DHL did do.
They did 2 of them.
Yeah, they had sound equipment out there, so you would have baseline from those. I assume you had copies of those studies, Christie?
Yes.
In the file.
Yep.
Well, we did require a baseline study before construction for background noise, correct? No?
Not on, that was all before.
So before our new ordinance.
So
That's
our
when
our background studies are based on the studies after the fact.
After they're in and operating.
But you have.
But there's a baseline.
Yeah, you have a baseline of what the noise was there, because they were required to do it to make sure that they were in compliance with the old townships noise ordinance.
So the only thing that we could enforce is above and beyond that baseline.
I think you can enforce your noise ordinance and the standards that are in it,
Okay.
so.
But even if you just get them to try to move switch the trucks around for a couple of weeks, see if that alleviates it, that would be the easiest thing to do and the cheapest thing, if they would go along with that. Just throwing that out there.
We'll have to discuss with Attorney Miller then on how that would get written up, or, you know, we'll have to talk about it then. Yeah.
And on the landscaping issue, there should be O&M notes on the land development plans for the landscape screening that they would have to continue to comply with for the project.
Are you talking about, but those are his trees that are ruined, not the planned trees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, I misunderstood that. I'm sorry.
yeah, that's not their trees. Yep, thank you.
Anyone else? Herb?
Yeah, she'll have to turn it on. There you go. No. I don't know. I checked the battery's fine, huh?
I think it's just on closure.
Oh. Yeah, you have to talk into it.
This one's still on?
Yes.
Perfect mix, 245 Chestnut. Just 2 quick clarifications, it's been a while since I've been here.
top of my head.
Okay. I think because the taxes collected double for commission, like from like 45,000 to 85,000, like we talked about, you just want to do it at the time, if you
So we did investigate that, and Attorney Miller, I'm also gonna let you talk about this, but basically in a nutshell, it turns out we should have changed that in the year prior to her election year, per the municipal planning code, and at that time, we didn't know if we were raising the taxes for sure. We also just didn't even know that was a thing, that it was gonna need to be done then. By the time you said something to us, it was already, 10 months or more past when we had done that action.
I respectfully, I don't really like that answer, but I understand where you're coming from. So, my second thing, and I know this isn't going to be popular either, but I'm just going to throw it out because I see it's on the agenda. Philosophically, I'm not questioning the validity of any of the charities that we give money to, but I do have kind of a question mark as to, we collect taxes to run the municipality, but I kind of question the municipality making judgments on what are valid charities or not to give, because that should be an individual basis. So, just wanted to throw that out there. I know we've talked about it once before, but for the record. So.
Anyone else? Like to touch back on that was about the contributions. We made a concerted effort to only give to individual organizations that directly benefit the residents of East Manchester. And that's our mantra, that's our backbone, what we go by. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's what we decided we were gonna do. Because we get a lot of requests. Everybody wants, a donation, so. Hope that helps. Seeing no more comments, going to move on to special requests. 5.1, the tax collector request to consider exoneration of 285 Torrey Pines Drive, Mount Wolf, PA, in the amount of $11.61 due to a building being removed. I motion that we grant that exonerance. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. There is a request for a block party request for the residents of Hollyhock Drive and the Rolling Meadows HOA for a road closure on Saturday, June 6th, 2026 from 3 p. to 10 p. Section of the road to be closed is Hollyhock Drive between Rensselaer Drive and Wagon Way. We have done this in the past, have we not? Is there someone here to speak about it?
We do. Len?
How you doing? Len Bradley, 455 Hollyhock Drive. This is our third year, so we appreciate you guys in the past supporting Rock the Hawk, as we call it. This is the third Hawkening. Yes, we name them every year. Sure. We're actually trying to get some high school student bands out there during the day as well. So, I can answer any questions. We've gone through the items listed in the requirements for the request. I do have the resident signatures, all but 3 on the road. One is currently in Europe on a trip. One lives in Colombia, the country, not the city. And the other one's an airline pilot, so it's a little tough, but he's never had an issue in the past 3 years. So again, we're here to accommodate if there's any issues with those residents, moving the barricades or whatever. Appreciate Shane and the Public Works letting us borrow the township's barricades at that point. We have contacted, had discussions with Lieutenant Commander Rizzo, and I forget whomever else I talked to at the police department. They'll actually be joining us for the first time this year. They're going to set up a motorcycle unit for part of it, and then a cruiser for the other part for the kids to get in there and do that. I see Chief Stevens here as well. They're always supporters, and they always show up and put their tent up and give us a pump truck and the ladder truck as well for the kids to go and play on and experience that too. So again, requesting that we can get another block closure this year.
I make a recommendation that we approve their request to have a block party.
I'll second the motion. Discussion? Thank you for doing this. it's very nice that we have people that want to do
We'd like
this.
to have a fun agenda item for you guys as well.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, we have an additional request here. Lego Farms requesting for a donation for services they provide to the children with special needs and their families. Lego Farm does a tremendous service for the kids. I just need to have numbers. I'm sorry, I'm just a numbers guy, because we asked the senior center and everyone else to give us numbers, how many meals they provide to our citizens, and how many children from East Manchester Township are involved. So,
Yes, sir.
I make a motion that we table this until next month and get some additional information.
I'll second that.
On favor?
Aye.
Okay, Chief, you're up. Oh.
Didn't like
This
that.
one's pretty Good evening. You should have before you the report reflective of February's business. 22 calls for the month, $2,000 loss. No firefighter or civilian injuries were reported. I'll answer any questions you might have about the report in particular, and then I'll have some other business.
I don't either have any questions in the report.
Okay. So I did, right now, put in a request yesterday for a burn ban for the township. And it's running concurrently with a burn ban in Manchester Borough as well, due to dry conditions. So Christie has done that for us, but that's all squared away. So that'll be in effect for 30 days. We'll reevaluate as it goes. If we suddenly get a onslaught of rain, doesn't look like everything in the forecast. At 30 days, our forecast will likely be to extend it. We're in a current burn ban. Got a pretty significant brush fire Sunday evening from some areas from Spanish. So it needs to be addressed. It's not going to go away anytime soon. The other part of that, and kind of leads me into the next discussion, I did reach out to Christie and ask her to engage Attorney Miller. But to do this the right way, I want to bring it before the board and open discussion on fire department building. We have limited income in the fire department, we're all volunteer. We do numerous, and when I say numerous, a lot of fundraising activity just to keep the doors open. That fundraising activity results in our ability to pay things like utilities, insurance, those type of things. It by no means buys us fire apparatus. That's an impossibility anymore. We've asked, and there's been limited discussion here about the fire tax that's going nowhere. So we're left with our only alternative, which is to start billing for services. Case in point, the brush fire on Sunday evening, I added up some numbers. We're not hard and fast. I looked at what other people were charging. That would have cost about $1,090 to the resident. Those are my choices. So I'm asking for Attorney Miller to be engaged. Pennsylvania, as we're all well aware, is a commonwealth, so it's handling. So the lowest form of government has their say, and for these bills to be legitimized, it would probably require an ordinance on the part of the township to approve our bill.
So I did reach out to Attorney Miller, and I ended up writing Chief Stevens back because we needed to know more of a scope of what exactly he wanted to charge for so that we could understand what the request was. And so we asked him to just come tonight and explain what that was, and then, we'll go from there. So, so now I have to defer to you, Attorney Miller.
So I think if we know what that fee schedule is, what I suggested to Christie is if we just do it as an amendment to the fee schedule, it is the township's fire chief. I think it's like collecting, a lot of the other fees are in the fee schedule. If it's on there, if it's approved by resolution, I think the township can bill those, can bill the people who the services are provided for.
So you're saying that we would bill? We would bill for their services, or they would bill per the fee schedule?
They can bill per the fee schedule.
Okay.
And we can delegate that, that could be delegated in the resolution, we would want to specify that if they're the ones that are going to be doing the billing directly. But I think it has to be the township's fee schedule, it's the township's fire chief.
But then it would be included in our audit, correct?
If the fire company is billing and collecting the fees, I don't think it would be passing through your books at all. So
Okay.
I don't know that it's going to show up in an audit, but I think the township would want a report, like a monthly report and record of that, to make sure that residents or property owners aren't getting billed services. I think it's the municipality's responsibility to make sure that it's properly billed.
Okay, I'm still gonna send an email, I think, to the auditors just to ask.
I would
Yeah.
agree with what Attorney Miller suggested. The other thing is, what about when you go to fight a fire or react somewhere else that's not in the township?
Under that process, it allows us to bill for our costs, no matter where we're at.
Okay.
And I would tell you my example with Blues, West Manchester Township does the same, and do exactly what Attorney Miller suggested. The fee schedule is specified at the township in the ordinance, and then the fire department uses that fee schedule as a guide for the billing process. The billing is, would be something the fire department would contract with the billing agency. We're looking at 3 different billing agencies at this point. The one that is most attractive is Pennsylvania Fire and Emergency Recovery. I may or may not have that right. But they seem to have been in the game the longest, and they are Pennsylvania based, so they get it. They get the whole criminal thing, and they understand that. So it's a different way of handling insurance companies. York City, York United Fire Rescue, Safer in southern York County, which is Dallastown, nearly York Township, that area, they all do. And have done so for years, and have been quite successful with it. So it doesn't matter what district we're in, we're billing for our services. Do we recover as much outside of our primary response area? Maybe not, but it doesn't cost us anything. The billing company takes 15% of what's collected. They don't collect anything.
And then they go after them?
Yes.
Okay.
They do insurance. They'll actually do it retroactively. You contract with them. They'll go back 2 years if you want them to. It's a little more costly. I think it's 25, maybe 30% of what's collected then, because you have to dig deeper.
It's harder to find people.
Right. Go back and get information. So in the end, it's going to cause more work for the fire department, and you got to get more accurate information, correct information, normal. But things like vehicle accidents are kind of easier because we have a working relationship with the police department, so they'll share information with us, so those are easy. The bigger fires, house fires, stuff like that, we routinely collect the insurance information in the house, we have that already. So
I have
some
another,
of the minor stuff is very, it may fall
have another question though. So if Union and Eagle respond, is it only Union that's,
I'm billing for union services. If Eagle chooses to bill, they can.
okay,
It's not double billing. So cases with Sunday evening, the brush fire, both companies were there. I based my billing was based on power response. So 2 engines, the hose that we used, the chainsaw.
But it excluded Eagle
Right.
services.
But, so that bill would go up if Eagle goes as well.
And insurance covers some of this, chief?
Yeah,
Or
a lot of it's
cover,
covered by your thing.
even car insurance and things like that?
Right now, anybody who's a homeowner in here right now, whether you know it or not, within your homeowner's insurance, on most insurance agencies, is money for the fire department, for us to come out. And we've encouraged people, when you speak with your insurance company, tell them you want the money released for the fire department. Most of them will say they want something for you, so you want to want something for them.
Right, 2 questions. One, so are you guys that was my first question. You're directing these letters to the homeowners or the insurance company? Or yes?
It'll go direct to the insurance company. Now, we do have the option, it just depends how strict we want to go. We would have the option, I could, there's a fire at your house, you come and put the fire out, I'll give you the insurance information, you send it over to the insurance company. And so we're not going if I want, I can say you, or I can say, take our loss, we give the insurance company, and kind of offer our residents. So essentially what we're looking to do is go to the insurance company for money that you already paid.
Perfect. Second question is, are you guys doing like clubs or like memberships like the ambulance companies do?
No.
You can't do that?
No, I don't know that we can't, I've never heard of a fire department. I shouldn't say that. So back in the days, in the colonial era, there were fire, that's where fire marks come from. And so you paid your insurance, they put their fire mark out, and then they were contracted to work with volunteer fire department. So whoever got there first, they got the money. For putting the
That's a
fire.
good way to do it.
Right. Right, but in modern times, I'm not familiar with any fire service that has a club or a subscription service like that. Although, I mean, it's yours.
I'm just saying, I think you could solicit a little, I mean, I think your funding solution is a reasonable one to do. I'm just saying you might be able to solicit membership.
So, and just so everybody knows, every year, the end of September, early October, to coincide with fire prevention, we send out solicitations by mail to everybody in our community. Every resident gets one, every business gets one. Businesses in this community represent 3% of the return donations, 3% from the businesses. That's all we get. Out of 100% of businesses, commercial, industrial, 3%. That's our.
Can you have a different fee schedule for residential, commercial, or industrial projects?
I don't know. We haven't put that. On the flip side of that, residential this year dropped by about 5%. And I think we had 21% of 21% out of 100% of the people in this community respond. It's pretty sad. Pretty sad. And I gotta tell you, more than enough times I've been at a fire scene, and I've had homeowners get in my face and tell me, I pay my taxes, you should do this. Good for you, good for paying your taxes. I pay taxes too. Anybody know how much of the taxes are earmarked for emergency services?
We'll set up a board at Rock the Hawk.
So, anyhow, enough of my preaching. We have to find.
One
solutions
last
somewhere.
question, if I may. You mentioned retroactive billing. Is that something you would absolutely consider?
Yeah, I want to talk to them a little more about it and see, I'm not sure what that means, if we have to be all-inclusive, all billable calls would have to be turned into that, or can we narrow that focus?
I think it's worth questioning.
Right.
Knee-jerk reaction is
Yeah.
probably not a great idea.
but, you know, I mean, we get businesses all the time.
Well, I mean,
Have
I know,
significant fires, I can tell you, in the last 2 years, we've been to Starbucks, and their fire loss is somewhere around $7 million in the last 2 years. Donations from Starbucks.
who's that?
Hey,
Joe, a few things. For our area here, our local municipality, that's a major paradigm shift that we're gonna investigate going into. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do it, but we're currently under a DCED study on fire services within our area. So I don't want to make a knee-jerk reaction before Floyd Wise from DCED gets us together and says, hey, this is the way I think it should look. I think this would be a good segue into reorganizing our emergency services as a whole and coming up with a plan. So I look forward to a list of what you want to charge for, how much, all that stuff. I do agree, I think commercial should be separated from residential. We should give our residents a break, but the commercial, no way. No way they should get a break. But we're gonna have to refer to council for all of that, and I'm looking forward to getting down and rolling our sleeves up and figuring something out. So, thank you for the suggestion.
any other questions?
No?
I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Joe. Well, that takes us right into 6.11, the fire chief job description. And we have created one. And I don't know if I should read all this.
Unless you wanna leave at midnight.
Yeah, it's pretty intensive. The fire chief has a heck of a
I mean, the
responsibility.
highlights are right, the qualifications of the fact that it's somebody that has worked in the fire service community for quite some time. I mean, that's the essential qualifications. And that they're familiar with a number of rules and regulations, like the Uniform Construction Code and things of that nature. And then it goes into a lengthy list of duties that you would typically see in a job description for something of, the fire chief.
If I may. Our fire chief doesn't just wear boots and a helmet. A lot of his responsibility and stuff that he does for the township is behind the scenes. It is in meetings with new development. The fire chief is the one that decides, yeah, you need to put a fire hydrant here, you need sprinklers here, we don't have the equipment to fight your fire because you made your building so big, yada, yada, yada. So I just don't want people thinking that Joe just jumps on the truck and goes and fights a fire. It's more than that. I make a motion that we approve the township, East Manchester Township Fire Chief's responsibilities.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Don't let me forget that.
Yep, nope, you're good. It'll just sit here.
That'll take us into York County Regional Police Report. The last time we had a meeting, it was, we have one tomorrow night down at Oak Street, York Township. But let me go to something I need to read to you. York County Regional Police Department announces authorization to enter 287G agreement with ICE. On Wednesday, March 18th, 2026, the York County Regional Police Department Board of Commissioners voted to approve the department's entry into a contractual agreement with the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, commonly known as 287G agreement. This decision follows extensive research, consultation with representatives from all levels of government, members of the clergy, and respected community leaders. With the signing of this agreement, York County Regional Police Department's participation will be carefully limited. Department officers will receive training and support excuse me, from ICE agents while in the officer's normal course of law enforcement duties. This approach is designed to protect the community by allowing our officers who are in uniform and operating marked patrol vehicles that identifies them as police officers to avoid any confusion of law enforcement authority with the overall public. Common interactions experienced by police officers involve encountering individuals who are operating a motor vehicle without proper licensing or documentation. Currently, the police officer does not have the authority to request or investigate the immigration status of the individual. The other intention is investigating an individual during a criminal investigation. The same applies in this scenario, that the officer does not have the ability or the resources to determine if the individual is lawfully in the United States. This agreement permits the officer to detain and verify the immigration status of the person in question. This agreement will also permit the police department to have information relating to enforcement activities within our police jurisdiction so that the police officers and the department are informed of potential enforcement activity being conducted by the federal authorities. The police officers of the department are held to the same standard as Pennsylvania law enforcement officers and must continue to follow all department policies and procedures while operating under this agreement. I'm going to go down to the nitty-gritty. What we are going to be under is a task force model. The task force model allows our officers may, under ICE supervision and approval, question, stop, and arrest individuals for immigration violations during routine policing activities in the community. That does not mean that we're going to target people out to pull them over and see if they're legal or not. It's during our regular police activities. So, for example, an officer pulls a car over for a traffic violation, and they ascertain that there's a ICE detainer for that individual. They detain them and hold them. And that's the extent, the way I understand it. So I just wanted to make sure that this was transparent to everybody in our community that we did enter this agreement. It was not unanimous. It was 5 charter members there at the meeting, and it passed 4-1. So, York County Regional Police Department is a full-service primary response law enforcement agency committed to protecting and preserving life property. Members of the department proudly and respectfully serve all individuals within the community, regardless of race, ethnicity, gender, religion, affiliation, sexual orientation, and all that. So, that is it. That's the announcement that I wanted to bring forward to the York County Regional Police. And we will have a meeting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock at Brook Street in York Township. Any questions? Okay, Northeastern York County Emergency Management Agency. Any report?
There's no report, but he did email me. What he said was he purchased a scanner that was just installed. And then he has preliminary approval on the TMI grant. It's awaiting final approval from PEMA. And then they're opening a second round of grants, and he's going to apply for that as well. So fingers crossed for the grant money, but that's all I have for that.
Any questions?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay, that moves us down to 7.1, subdivision land development plans. Kinsley Properties is here to request to discuss the possibility of rezoning the Musser Farm on Board Road and Zonsview Road they want to change it from low-density residential R1 to industrial zoning districts. This is not, I repeat, not a formal submission to the board, but preliminary in nature for discussion purposes. So, Representatives from Kinsley.
Good evening, Stacy McNeil here with Kinsley Properties. Mr. Bobby Kinsley and Mr. Mike Jeffers are here this evening as well, along with representatives from the Musser family. And we're here tonight really just for an informal discussion with the board to gain some feedback regarding the future of the Musser Farm now that the primary family members have passed and we're looking to the future of this property. So, Kinsley Properties does have the Busser Farm under contract, and again, we wanted to talk a little bit about this property. This property really does consist of two parcels. The main parcel is 77 acres, and then there's a small adjacent parcel that sits between the main farm parcel and really the existing single-family homes along Ward Road. That's a smaller, about 4.5 acre parcel. The primary parcel is zoned low-density residential. The smaller parcel of land is zoned RM. We have presented to the board an exhibit basically to show the surrounding zoning and development. It is a mixture of surrounding zoning, obviously industrial, AO, RM, and to look at, we put industrial on the site to kind of see what an industrial could look like here and to really start that conversation. So this property's been zoned RL for a very long time, and since that time, there's been several million square feet of industrial development that has occurred to the west and south of this property and is expected to continue to occur really to the north of the property. We believe that development, including what will be the extension of this kind of collector road immediately to the western boundary of this site, really makes the property no longer suitable for low-density residential. That could create conflicts between those two really disparate land use types. So with an industrial zoning of this parcel, this really would be the last in that really sequence of properties that were rezoned many years ago by the township. You would still have buffering from the industrial on this site to the village beyond. You would obviously have RM, and we would intend, even with this proposal, which is really, again, just for discussion purposes, we are showing keeping that smaller 4.5 acre parcel as RM. So kind of a medium density residential there as a transition zone as opposed to the low density residential. You also have apartment office, which is a nice transition zone from the industrial. And where there is a very small area of residential zoning, then also to the immediate south, you can see there's actually, in that location, there's a York Water parcel, and there is a stormwater management facility in that location. So that's always going to be buffered up against that industrial. That was kind of what our thoughts were with that rezoning, and that potential rezoning here, but we did want to come in and talk to the board and just really try to find an opportunity to have a discussion with the board about what might make sense for this property now that it's no longer going to be farmed.
Couple. Where exactly is the 4.5 acres, the buffer? Is that parcel MI
Yeah.
134D?
Yes.
So that's to provide buffer for the folks, the residents that live along Board Road?
Are you talking about this? What you're,
No, up further. Keep going, right?
oh, right here.
Yeah,
So how much,
Oh, yeah, I see
how
it.
much distance from the back of their yards to the proposed industrial zone?
So I don't
Ballpark.
know exactly how deep that parcel is, but obviously then beyond that parcel, there would be further required buffer as well. So I don't,
But I'm just curious, 100 feet, you don't know? Before the proposed industrial zone would start. Here's my big problem, given all the recent fun activities that we've had. long ago and far away, there was the comprehensive plan put together. And the logic being here is, well, industrial area is adjacent to it, so might as well make this industrial. And if you apply that logic elsewhere in the township, where does it stop? That's my biggest challenge. I understand the rationale of it, but I'm having a tough time embracing it.
Sure.
Especially given the things that I believe in. You know, it's not new information. And it doesn't, to me, change the way things were set out when we did the comprehensive plan. This is 2017. 2006. So, that's the challenge that I wrestle with in trying to keep the, you know, the nature of the township. Certainly, everyone knows we had the data center discussion, and the challenges that we before us there, and the hurdles that we tried to put in front of that. And that's my struggle.
Sure. And I do understand that. I would say with this property, I don't see any possibility of creep, right? You're looking at infill, so you're right up against the borough. So you're not going to be taking that industrial zone any further. I guess the concern is that since that 2005 comprehensive plan, really the vast majority of this has been developed since that time. And we've had the opportunity to see some of the challenges of having some of that newer residential up against some of the industrial development. And so there is some concern about that low density residential in particular in that location. And so maybe if there was the possibility of doing maybe some sort of a, and again, this is a relatively small parcel, as I indicated in my letter, so you know, we're not looking at any sort of a hyperscale facility here. We're looking at a fairly moderate facility. So, you know, if there was some possibility of maybe even doing some sort of an industrial towards the back piece with a transition zoning of some sort.
I guess, you know, I guess it ultimately depends what things are.
Yeah.
It's one thing, I guess within 77 acres with setbacks, you probably can't do a million square foot building.
No, definitely not.
But you certainly could probably get a 500,000 square foot building. Close. Pushing the limits, right?
Geography there.
Understood. And I think, so maybe it's more of what would you plan to put there? You know, because industrial, generally in my mind, goes to what's already built, which are massive sized buildings, 75 feet in the air, which are challenging as far as things go. I get change happens. Again, I understand, but you asked for my opinion. Those are my opinions.
Yeah, no, so if, would you maybe be more open to something that was not necessarily a rezoning of the entire property?
So that's what I was gonna say.
Again, I think I probably would be, but it'd be nice to get a sense of, is it, I'm sorry?
No.
No, go
I'm just
ahead.
saying, yes, I
Go
get
ahead.
it.
You know, I think it's one thing to walk out your backyard and stare at the back of the building that wasn't there. And again, I understand change. Because I hate to say it, but I'll make the statement I make all the time. I grew up here, I moved back here 10 years ago. And if I would have went to the website, pulled down the comprehensive plan, I wouldn't be most likely in the house I'm in today. I'd still probably be in this township, but not there, because I live where all the warehouses are. Okay? Not as bad as Chairman Nail, but still got the truck drivers like Mr. Greathouse does and things of that nature. And so that's what's just in the back of my mind, maybe it was something a little more appealing than some massive building. Maybe if it was more of a, you know, an office complex that wasn't so high or something like that, maybe that would be more appealing. But again, I don't know, you know, from, you know, the standpoint of development, if office complexes are more appealing than warehouse space. I don't know that market.
So after speaking with some professional staff, they were saying that if the board were to consider such a thing, that they would recommend following the existing stream as the zoning boundary. That's common practice. So if that were to be decided, would you still follow through or would want to follow through with a smaller piece?
We're here just for a full discussion, you know, just to get that feedback. I mean, we did notice that the zoning boundary on the other side, and the north side of Design 2 actually does follow the stream.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just when it comes to the south side, for some reason, it didn't follow that stream boundary. So, that would be consistent with the north side of Design 2.
I think that would be a good buffer if the board were to consider it.
But now, if we were to do that, that would leave this like strip of RL. I mean, would there be the possibility of looking and taking that RL and downzoning it to a different, more of a transition residential zone? I mean, you have either RM or AO that it could go to, and then you would not have it left as a potential like reverse spot zone. That's something we can play with.
Yeah. Are you saying like an R3 or something?
Well,
Behind
we have
density.
to be on whatever's next to it. So you've got
AO.
R2 and you've got AO next to it. So we have to make it match
Yeah.
something that's next to it.
If you don't mind, can you just list, some of us know what the pros and the cons are, but can you just list the pros and the cons of industrial versus residential?
Sure. So in the industrial, obviously you have, generally speaking, an increased tax revenue base. You do have, overall, depending on the use, you may have less impact on your sewer and water system. You actually have less peak hour trips, but we know that the percentage of those hour trips are more trucks, right? So that's really the biggest downside of the trucks. You have potential impacts on residential neighbors being the, sound, although it sounds like you've put in place a pretty stringent, rigorous sound ordinance that will help to regulate and mitigate those environmental impacts that can come with the industrial use. The residential uses, the number I've been hearing lately is that typically it costs about $18,000 a year to educate a student, thereabouts. And so it's typically 1 to 2 students per dwelling. And generally here, around here, we don't have, for most homes, enough tax revenue, school tax revenue to cover that, unless you're talking a very high value home. So most of our homes don't actually put off enough tax revenue to cover the costs of schooling the students that they're putting into the schools, and so it's a burden on the school districts. They do actually generally increase the number of trips in the peak hour trips more than the number of peak hour trips that an industrial user does. But again, they're passenger car trips, and they're trips that are going in different directions, so different traffic patterns than the industrial peak hour trips. They may have more of a burden and more of a need for water and sewer than industrial, depending again on what that industrial use might be. not going to worry about things like noise or odors or things like that, that potentially you could get with, some sort of an industrial user. Did I miss anything that you were thinking of?
You hit most of them. The only thing was, roads, to, maintain and repair roads and things that are associated usually with residential development, unless it's private.
What's the minimum lot size of R1?
I don't know that without looking at.
It's an acre, isn't it?
It's a half acre. Yeah, with water and sewer, it's a half acre.
But without water and source.
It's 2 acres if you don't have public water and sewer available.
Just highlight the pros and the cons. That's gonna be real popular, putting 2 more warehouses in there, when there's 3 going across the road, which I am not looking forward to trying to explain to the residents. However, with that being said, if it was industrial, we could funnel all truck traffic through our industrial area as we have it right now, to go down through to Expresso and go out to the Canal Road Betterment Program out to the trail and hit 83 or 30. If we split it and put residential in there, you can see where everybody's going to go. They're going to go on Board Road to get to 83 to go to work, because they're going to be building or buying apartments or houses or something. It's going to impact the borough of Manchester and our lovely exit 24 that we deal with every day. So it comes down to what's better for our area. And that's the decision we probably eventually have to make. Because there's not an ideal decision on this.
I agree. Sorry, another question?
Yeah, I mean, look, I was just in this game, I'm just a resident, although I'm a civil engineer. I'm a civil engineer and, principal in a landscape architecture, land planning, and engineering firm. For me, I'm just looking at the comp plan and what this current zoning is. It really makes no sense to go from R2 to R1 than to industrial, right? It would make better sense to upzone that and have that buffer. I think it's a fantastic idea to have the buffer along the creek. It then protects the residents that are already there in the R2 district, and then zone that industrial. Like I said, take all the traffic to the north and then to the south. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, no one's gonna build more single-family houses that are, half-acre lots. It's just not gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. You could do apartments there, you could do townhouses, you could do some transition of a higher density, or you could do the smaller single-family houses. That makes sense to have with the buffer. And when you have the creek, so you're gonna have at least another 50 foot in between them. You have a 50-foot statutory floodway, after an engineering study makes it smaller, you're gonna have another 50 feet on either side just because of the.
But the juxtaposition of high-density residential is exactly what's going on. The school district, I'm sorry?
Well, no, I agree with you.
School district, sewer, is, that, my understanding is from the sewer standpoint, it's kind of tapped out in that area once those warehouses go in and whatnot. Wasn't designed to handle any more residential or whatnot.
But simply from a land use, land planning perspective, it makes no sense for that to be R1. Regardless of what happens in the future.
You're talking about the whole plot there.
Oh, yeah, the whole plot south of Canal.
No, it's not
Zionsville.
Zionsville. Sorry.
And then
I
Board.
get mixed up.
It's different. But that one parcel, that yellow parcel that we have crosshatched, it makes no sense for that to be R1. It's never gonna be developed R1. Someone does a lot of residential development, no one's ever gonna touch that. It just doesn't make sense.
Even though it's 77 acres.
You're next to the industrial building, right? It doesn't make sense. Now you're going from.
You're not building $500,000.
Yeah, you have an R2 medium density, R1 low density, and then industrial. It doesn't make sense. You should be up, you should be going up in intensity, not lower than that.
Appreciate that. I mean, I think it's truly the pros and cons and ultimately what goes in there. Because I don't know the capacity at the school, but you put in high density, I gotta believe, gonna require more teachers, clearly more funding, because it's more influence, whether you need to add more classroom space or not, so.
My kids leave graduated before the high school's done, I get it.
Yeah, exactly. And so that is truly the challenge. And it's not that I hadn't thought of that, but what came forward more was the look and feel of the township. The township, change happens. But I do appreciate your view on it. I really think it just boils down to the pros and cons ultimately, and a little bit more of a vision of what would go in there, a little more details as far as where those dividing lines would best be drawn. That would certainly help me anyways.
So I think we need to see some options
So
presented.
I'll boil it down. I can't say no, I can say no.
So I don't want to speak for my client here, but maybe we can go back and, put together some very high-level concept ideas that could help you, vision. Yeah.
No, I grew up here.
So
The
we'll,
school would probably folks.
so we can do that and put some things together to help you visualize, and then come back and, discuss with you once you have something some concept to look at in front of you to help give that further direction. And we'll do that before obviously we formally submit anything.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Yep, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, sir.
You know my opinion on these things and that boots on the ground. If Mr. Musser would grant us permission, I know things look different when you're there. Taking a lot of you guys on tour and things like that. You can look at all the plans you want. I believe taking a board member there shows it completely different. So if Mr. Musser, if you see a yellow truck out there, it's just us. If you have a problem with that, please let us know. Yep, that's okay, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, that's fine, thank you. Okay, moving on, solicitors report, Andy.
The park rules and regulations that were mentioned and discussed I think 2 months ago, those have been advertised now. The ordinance to adopt those has been advertised and is ready for the board's action this evening. Again, the ordinance 2026/4, and it adopts a set of rules and regulations that would be then enforceable within the parks and
Okay, with that said, I'll make a motion that we authorize and enact ordinance number 2026/4.
I'll second that.
Discussion. This is an ordinance adopting park rules and regulations for East Manchester Township. Call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 2-0. Go ahead, Andy.
The only other thing, agenda item on my report this evening then is the tax collector agreement, and I've gone back and forth with Christie a few times. This is an agreement for the township to provide a laptop to the tax collector and retain some level of control over that laptop if the township does so. Christie and I went back and forth with some changes based on review by the tax collector. Christie, I know you had sent me a final email then. I'm not sure if this was still moving forward or not. The tax collector wasn't sure if they wanted to proceed with it.
We're still talking about it, but I figured it like this. If the board is okay with this agreement, and if I could get some kind of motion tonight that if she changes her mind, then we can execute this and move forward. Her laptop is very, very old, so if she changes her mind, I'd hate to wait until the next meeting to deal with this.
But the understanding is that this isn't a requirement of her. This is something that often her position allows her to choose her own equipment.
Correct.
Yeah, it's also in part, I think, out of concern of the township having some control over the security.
PII. I mean, there's a lot of personal information there. So I'm a fan of doing this, so I would make the motion that we allow this agreement to be executed if the tax collector is willing to take on the responsibility and a laptop provided by the township.
And follow through with this agreement.
Follow through this agreement.
I'll second that motion. It is, for discussion, it is up to the tax collector, whoever voted in, whether they would like to do that or not. So we cannot force the tax collector's hand in this situation. But if she feels so inclined, then the agreement is already signed and executed, so. Any further discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
I think that's all for my report, unless there's any other questions from the board.
None from me. Thank you, Andy. Byron, what's that North Sherman Street extension?
North Sherman Street, so, it's in PennDOT's hand. I got a request this week, which I took care of today, from York Water Company. PennDOT has asked York Water Company to consider, just in case, permit relocating part of the water line where we do our crossing, where they're replacing the pipe under North Sherman Street. I had a discussion with York Water today, and I told them, I said, where we tried to find the water line, we could not find it, where it was PA1 called, it wasn't there. And he doesn't think that it's going to be in the way, but just being proactive as they're coming in, they're going to have their, in case they have to move the water line once PennDOT starts their work, they're going to have their permit. So I gave them a PDF set of my plans that they could work on an HOP if necessary. I will say, as I came up Sherman Street tonight to the meeting, they had, if you take a look, it's all painted and marked up for a PA1 call. And I can honestly say the water line where it's marked now, it's about 5 feet different from where they had it marked when we tried to find the water line.
Oh, we're getting closer.
Yeah, so I think that's close. That's actually, I think, where the water line is, but it's not where our PA1 call was. Espresso Way, I actually talked to Mike Jeffers here tonight. Andy was helped me out. PennDOT asked for a temporary construction easement in case the grading goes outside the existing right-of-way there. Andy prepared the it's two, we're dealing with Kinsley's and Ollie's. Andy prepared the temporary construction easements. Mike and I talked about that. He doesn't think it'd be any problem. We've already sent them up to PennDOT unsigned. That way they can start looking to make sure they're okay. They don't have any issues. They asked us to do that. So I'm working with Kinsley's and Ollie's to get them to sign these temporary construction in case the grading goes outside. And that's, I think, the latest thing that they're asking for on that. That's all I had, really. I didn't have anything else really jumping out at me. Any questions? Willow Springs, it's done. I mean, it's the only thing I'm waiting for them to.
Express a way to get
Yeah,
finished.
yeah. I mean, we'll probably, what we probably should do is that, and I can probably do that real quick here, is we should actually consider using that as, when Willow Springs work should be done first, just in case we have to redirect traffic in that area, so we can maybe use Willow Springs lane there, so, it would be just like a temporary,
I just remember we weren't going to shut Willow Springs down
Until it's
until
ready.
everything was ready and it
Yeah.
wasn't needed for anything.
right,
Okay,
and that's still the case.
all right, thank you. Was there one question I had?
Chris, do we want to talk about, we don't want to talk about that?
No, I think if we did, it would just be with Andy.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Byron. Shane, Columbia Gas Cross-Bore Project.
Yeah, Columbia Gas Cross-Bore Project, so they came to us, I don't know, a month and a half, 2 months ago. Columbia Gas came to us, and what they're doing is they are cameraing all storm sewer and all sanitary sewer in the township that has a Columbia Gas cross-bore, either below it or above it. So from 2008 on, they're going to camera all our lines to make sure them boring did not hit any of our lines.
So we don't want a gas line through our sewer line.
It has,
Is that problematic?
well, quick story.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, a quick story, and I heard this a couple years ago, why they don't bore much anymore. They bored across the roadway, they punched a hole through a sanitary sewer line. It didn't just, when it went through the sewer line, it also cut the gas line. The gas line leaked into the sewer line, which in turn fed back into the school down the road. And that's when they told me they quit boring unless they have visual eyes and what's under the ground. So, the way it sounds, some of our storm pipes may have it through, they act like they find them all the time, you know, so. But what came into play here was, they had an agreement, they want us to sign to get the video footage of it. And Andy, if you wanna discuss more about that agreement, we're ready to sign, so.
I think we got as many things out of that agreement as, the township was gonna be able to get. We did get, the indemnities and things like that that were in them were quite broad, so we scaled back. We got some of those things scaled back. I think got the agreement to a point that I would be comfortable with the township signing it if the township finds the video useful, and helpful. I think it would be okay to proceed with it.
Okay, appreciate that input. I noticed in the agreement that Columbia Gas is held harmless, held harmless, held harmless. How can it be held harmless
That's the way it always is, right?
if they blow Aunt Edna off the pot? I mean, can I sue for poor old Aunt Edna? Or they're
Well,
held harmless?
That's not really what our agreement is though, right?
Well, remember that the agreement is for the videoing of the lines. It's not for operation of the pipes or
Yes.
anything that they do
Okay.
as part of the
So I can
project.
sue.
But one of the things that we did negotiate out of the agreement is they previously had the township indemnifying them and holding harmless if their own employees did something negligently or got hurt doing the videoing, the township was responsible for it. It was very broad. So we did get that reduced back, that the township should only be indemnifying them and holding them harmless if the township actually does something that causes damage or injury to either their equipment or one of their employees. Previously, it was basically anything that happened, the township would indemnify them and hold them harmless for.
Okay.
Can you believe municipalities willy-nilly just sign that, what they present?
Well, I can believe that. I mean, if Andy says this is the best we can do, then I make a motion that we sign the agreement.
I'll second that.
Can you please authorize Shane to sign it?
I'll amend my motion.
Thank you.
I'll authorize our Public Works Director to sign the agreement.
I will second that.
Thank
Any
you.
further discussion? Thank you. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 2-0.
Thank you, gentlemen, that's all I have.
Okay, there was something else. I'll remember it, Shane. Christie, it's all yours. Plantation County Sewer Authority.
So in their minutes from February 23rd, it just looks like, normal operations. I'm just gonna note, these were back in February, so they're probably already working on this, but, they were resuming their, illegal connection inspections. The remaining neighborhoods are Orchard View, Chestnut Valley, and Rolling Meadows. And then their delinquent accounts, apparently they have some really high rising balances that aren't getting resolved regardless of phone calls and notifications and things. It sounds like these properties in questions don't have public water, so they can't do a shut-off with York Water Company. So they're filing liens and doing sheriff's sale orders. But really, that was the highlight of those minutes.
Oh, that's terrible. That's low light.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, that is the low light, yes.
I thought they'd have a collection agency. They did. That's neither here.
Yeah, it doesn't really say
I think
that.
they're talking about it,
Okay.
but I don't remember the name of it.
Okay. Set it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Move on to Kate.
All right, so I'll start with the zoning officer report. We do have a planning commission meeting this month, April 28th. Yeah, April 28th at 6 p.m. We have our planning commission meeting. And then we have a zoning hearing board this month for April 23rd at 6 p.m. It was originally supposed to be 2 cases, but I made a boo-boo, so the one had to get moved till the May meeting. Oh, do you just have any questions on that part so far?
No, I don't.
None for me.
Okay. So, as far as like training goes with the new codes officer, that's been going well. She's been learning, current manager, filing systems. She's going to be learning the stormwater management with Byron coming up here. And she will be going with me to the one court hearing I have this at the end of this month for citation. So she'll be learning quite a bit this month, right out the gate. But other than that, I don't really have too much else to add to it.
Okay. Any questions for Kate?
No.
Kate? Rec board, Christie.
I'm actually going to defer to Laura, who is one of our rec board members.
Welcome.
There's one copy of the document on top, and multiple copies of the second document. At our last Laura Brennan. At our last recreation board meeting, representatives from Royal Manchester Golf Links attended and proposed 4th of July celebration. At their facility, they were looking for the township support in promoting the event, and partnership. As a board, we discussed it and felt comfortable offering up to $2,000 in support of the event for expenses.
as well as a member of our board sitting on the planning meetings for the event. Good stewardship. So that is the request, is a funding request.
Okay, we cannot act on that tonight by law, so we're going to put this on the agenda for next month. But it sounds, like I said to the other gentleman about the block party, we're always looking for this type of activity in our township, and I commend you and the board for bringing this to us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So you are going to have one of your board members sit on their advisory committee to plan this, right? Okay, good.
So what, the committee's agenda?
Yeah, we have to put that on next month's agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Went to the East Manchester Tax Collector's Audit Report. This audit does not occur every year, but you can go down to the part where it says we're stellar.
Yes, so we did good, or Kathy did good on her audit. This one was for the year of 2024. They don't happen every year, as you already stated. I did place this on the website under audits. I've had it up for about a week or so now. But essentially, I'm just going to read one little statement out of here, which is reflected in our budget as well. York County is comprised of 72 townships and boroughs in 2024. East Manchester Township had an assessed value total, I'm sorry, it's not in our budget, assessed total of $5,758,244.97 in York County. And then we also have a total of 3,434 parcels. But that doesn't include any of the interims or exonerations. That's the number, that assessed number is what we use to calculate what approximately our taxes are going to be for when we're trying to budget. That's what I meant to say. So every year we get this number from county, and we use that for our budgeting numbers. But otherwise, does anyone have any questions on Kathy's audit?
None for me.
I don't believe you have to do any motions or anything. Attorney Miller, do they have to do a motion accepting it, or? Okay. Okay.
So explain to me this MTS IT Solutions.
Okay. So essentially, with the advancement of scammers and hackers, our IT guy came to me about a month ago and said, I'm concerned, I have, protection for you guys, but, things are getting worse, and it just keeps getting worse. And he said that he firmly believes we need to be 24/7 monitored, especially with what happened with all the right to knows that we received from the data center. Wanting to, access to the emails and everything, which we produced. But he said that this is a big cause for when people or hackers start to try to get into the system. We have sensitive information, and therefore, this is more the back end of IT. Jason is our IT guy for the front end services, for the desktop services. This will cover items ranging from our emails, and they'll even include training, and so our staff will get test scam emails to see who clicks on them, and it'll also give us points towards our cybersecurity protection. I I would go down this list. I provided it for you, but to be honest, this is such high level over my head and probably all of our heads, except for maybe Dean's over there. But basically, it is necessary for us to have these protections in place. I've actually got this company recommended from the Managers Association for York County that I'm a part of. And we did compare quotes and things. Other contractors actually wanted significantly more money, and they wanted to change our new equipment. We just put all this brand new equipment in with the build of this building. They even admitted that it was good equipment, but they just preferred to work with their own brand, which was not acceptable. This company came in lower, is working with everything that we have, and they're also offering to be IT support for whenever Jason goes on holiday or is sick, in the event that we really need help or assistance immediately. So the contract term is 36 months. Monthly fee is $2,100. And this was not budgeted. This was not something that we foresaw. The right to know action that occurred didn't happen until January, when we got pounded, and then into February and March. It's still at high volume with what we're dealing with right now. And so this is to protect us.
I just want to add a couple things. Number one,
Sure.
this, in my opinion, should have been in place before. The right to know just brought it, exposed it,
Correct.
made it more.
Can you turn your mic on?
Oh,
please?
was it?
Thank you.
You didn't like it? Okay. So I'll just repeat. My opinion is this should have been in place before. It's just that the right to know requests and all the things that we were dealing with just heightened it, brought it to the surface. This type of stuff is almost in any type of business where you're dealing with the type of information that you have. I did ask some folks that do IT work, and they had, given their experience, looked at this company and said that it's definitely a worthwhile company. I looked at their website, and it seems to be pretty credible and things of that nature. And given the other research that you did, being able to stick with our own equipment is certainly the prudent thing to do. So, long way of saying that I'm happy that we're getting this in place, that it is.
Okay,
That's it for me.
thank you. Dave, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I'm just doing the math. And I hope I'm wrong.
What, 2,100 times 12 months? It's
Yeah, plus the
24,000.
3,500 for initial
That's
setup.
just the initial setup.
So it's 28,700.
It's 30 grand.
30 grand,
Just under,
10 grand a year.
it's just under 30 grand for this initial year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry?
Not 29,000 per year.
30 grand, 29. It's close enough. I do quick math.
75,000 in 3 years, it's a long budget.
But without it and being breached is a bigger issue.
What does it cover? I mean, what do we have that we have to cover for this?
There's a lot of personal information, it's HR information, things of that nature, the emails being attacked and someone coming in. I'm sure you've seen it in the news plenty of times where a company gets hacked and they start spoofing their emails going out. What if someone got into the township emails and started spoofing emails like it was coming out of our township manager's email or from a supervisor?
That actually happened to Mount Wolf.
That's a problem.
That's how money got taken from Mount Wolf.
This, I will tell you that,
Yep.
I'll pick on myself, is when I got in this position, I should have asked this question, given the fact of what I do. I just assumed that it was in place. And so, that's on me. This is the type of kind of security that certainly a township needs and larger businesses need. Yes?
So just as a question, this is kind of,
No, please ask.
it just so happens I had my IT meeting for my company today also.
Okay.
So, is this both endpoint user, so this is, you're saying it's on-site, and then is there anything cloud-based, like are you Microsoft Office page.
On Microsoft Office
So
page.
your office login, so this is also the if they have a foreign intrusion into this, it's gonna do the automatic.
That's my understanding of what's here,
So
yes.
it's MDR and.
Oh, yes, yes, it is MDR.
And so it's MDR.
Right now, we don't have MDR.
Okay, that's the same thing we're getting for.
Yep.
Yeah,
So, okay, it makes sense, that is what is now required for all these companies. And
Yeah.
I assume you also have the same requirements, any medical and HIPAA and all that kind of stuff.
Correct.
For data protection, so.
That's why I say, when I joined the club, I just made an assumption, and given that I play in technology a little bit, I don't know it all, and I never professed to it. Should have asked this question.
And I'll say, it is also good that they will not make you change technology that you already have. We had
Exactly.
the same issue with our original one, from the switch company, so they'll service the existing infrastructure we have.
Mhm.
I think it's also a good choice.
Yeah, no, and I get why that company or other companies prefer their own equipment, because they're partnered with them, they know it inside and out, they have experience, I get that, but yes, not throwing the baby out with the bathwater on this one, so thank you for that feedback. Were there any other questions?
Does that include the tax collector hardware and her information?
If she chooses to partake in that agreement,
Bless you.
then yes, it will. Right now, she uses her own equipment, and her own,
And she's responsible for our information to be out there.
but that is her right under how she's elected into that office.
Yeah, she's an elected official and operates largely independently from the township. She's responsible for the maintenance of her records according to the requirements of the Pennsylvania Municipal Records Law. And she's also, because she's not a township employee, she's not subject, right, to no requests that the township gets. So she does act independently in large part. One of the issues with the tax collector too is that she has her own software, so her software support wouldn't come from the township's plan, but the cybersecurity would. And we've had some discussions about that. She has her own thoughts on that, I think.
yeah. We certainly offered, and that's what we're attempting to do, is to try to cover her as well. But we can only do that if it's a township-owned laptop.
So let me go over my basic math.
Okay,
It's 10 grand a year for 3 years,
okay.
right?
Actually, if it's 2,100 a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Last time I checked, 2,000 times 12 is 24,000 plus another $1,200, it's $25,200.
Okay. All right.
But it's essential. And I know we didn't budget it for it, but we will find money where we understand something.
Well, this is, I'm not arguing that it's not a necessity.
Understand?
However, it's a big expenditure. I'd like time to think about this. I'd like Supervisor Albright's opinion as well before we go into this expenditure. So I'm going to make a motion that we table this until next month.
Don't have an issue with it.
You second the motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So we'll put that on the agenda for May. It's not that time sensitive, correct? I mean, we're vulnerable, I know that, but we've been vulnerable all this time, so.
Well, now we just put it out to the public.
Hey, we're vulnerable.
Time to come and get us. Yeah, let's just move forward then.
Yeah, I just need time to.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, taking down the correspondence. There's going to be a town hall on school property tax elimination on April 30th, 5 o'clock at the Amesville Fire Hall. The event will be hosted by Representative Diorsi, Representative Fink, former Representative Frank Ryan, and Senator Dawn Kiefer. RSVPs required by calling Diorsi's office, or you can register online. York County Planning Commission regional significance. Believe it or not, there's gonna be a Carvana going in up in Conewago Township at Susquehanna Trail. So that should be interesting, just to go up there and park along the road and watch the vending machine go to work.
That's the Odessa site.
yeah.
Right off, 83.
So, that takes us down to 12.3. I wanted to give a second opportunity for anyone to make any comments, questions, or whatever's on your mind. Joyce, let me have it.
I think Carol wanted the first shot at it.
Carol?
Savvy citizen, where do we stand with that? It was one of the agendas for February, kind of got glossed over, there's nothing mentioned since we're doing something else.
The board directed me to do it when we do the new website. So that's something that's in the works. I'm doing my research, and that's gonna take some time there.
We didn't want to do the interface with the website twice.
Think that'd be something that happens this year, or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're gonna have the website done this year?
I hope so.
I mean,
That was the goal. We budgeted for it this year. Yeah.
I understand, and I know our web, because, I'm sure other people are like me, but I hate scrolling vertically for days to go find stuff. So, yes, our website is in absolute need of
Mm-hmm.
improvement.
There's other ways to scroll.
Sorry,
joke,
it's
just a
just,
joke.
yeah,
Okay, you have any other comments? I'll move on to supervisor comments. Dean?
thank you all for coming out, thanks for the feedback, and just, I guess, a lot of fun had in the past couple of months. And I know there's a lot of passion, certainly with the data center. I don't want to forget about it. I want to be mindful of the folks that did come participate and have questions still about it, and want to address those questions some way, shape, or how. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Christie, request come in from Northeastern Community Alliance, NACCC. I never knew what it stood for.
Mm-hmm.
It's that Northeastern thing that our past mayor, Mo, is involved with the school. She is requesting that to see if the building is available for their meeting on Tuesday, April 21st.
Mm.
So if you would contact her.
Yep.
That.
Do you have her contact info? Well, I'll get it after this. I guess. Okay.
Shane, is UNFI, are they working a plan back there? They're constantly moving dirt. And it's dusty.
Haven't been there in a while.
We have to go for a road trip.
Let me know when you're ready. Yeah. Yeah. So they're still moving dirt, you're saying?
Oh, the guy loves reverse.
Well,
But it's at a dark 30 in the morning.
Well, they start right at 0700. Okay, we need to put some things on next month's agenda. I just want to remind us that we need to do the donations that we were going to do. Financial review meetings that we have. The next one should be interesting because we have to really look at how much we spent on right to know requests and use that window to, because we're going to have to up our budget line for next year for that. We don't have.
Take it under consideration.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna come overspent in that line item for sure.
Okay, understand. But this will be our first quarter. We'll go over the year-end financials because the audit is near done, I would assume. So we'll go over how we end last year, see where we're at, look at where we're at should be through the end of March, because we'll have that meeting. Isn't the meeting towards the end of April?
April 30th.
Yeah, okay. And so we'll go over those numbers, how we finished last year, what the first quarter looks like, and where we think we're headed. Take into consideration the right-to-know expenses that we incurred in both years. Most of it, I think, was in 26, not
Yeah.
25.
But that's the reasoning for us to have financial review
Yep.
meetings, so we catch this stuff and stay ahead of it instead of behind the curve.
And just like the thing we're talking about here with cybersecurity, you know, it was an unbudgeted expense, so how many of those things can we throw in the bucket
Right.
and maybe tighten up somewhere else?
One other question I have for Andrew. Canal Road Betterment Program. In a nutshell, where we?
I had a call with Manchester Township's solicitor on Monday to go over, we did get comments back from North Point on the agreements that I had circulated. I circulated all of the amendments, consolidated red lines of everybody's changes or comments on March 5th. I received through Manchester the comments back from North Point on the agreements. I have not received comments back from anyone else. We have a call tomorrow for the Canal Road Betterment Committee, for the group. I was gonna bring it up on that call and see if there are any more changes to the documents. We also got back some of the deeds of dedication from North Point. So we are making some progress. We'll see if there's any other comments to the agreements. There may not be at this point. I think there is the contribution that was in the agreements that were sent out. The contribution for North Point was $650,000. Comments that came back, it was 600,000. So we're still negotiating over small amounts of money, but that continues. I think they did reach an agreement on an amount to give to Manchester Township to finish the cul-de-sac and to close, decommission Bear Road, and the temporary connector from Bear Road. So if that happens, that will potentially simplify things because Manchester Township will have control of that work instead of having to rely on the developer for the rest of that. So that's where we are at this point. Continues, I think, to be challenging just to try to manage and get all the comments from all the parties and get those incorporated into the agreements and get everything to work at the end of the day. I have not heard any updates. I wasn't able to make the last Canal Road call. So I haven't heard any of the updates. I didn't get the updates on that call to where they are with the eminent domain, the right-of-way acquisitions and utility relocations. So I know they have been proceeding on that. I think we're getting close to 30 days now since they filed the declarations of taking for the two property owners that were filling out. And I'm not sure, the last call that I was on, following that call, they finally got a good or a human contact at Verizon to work with them on relocation of their lines. I think they were the one holdout utility that they couldn't get a good contact in their engineering department to review the plans and do what they had to do in terms of line relocations. So we'll hopefully get more updates tomorrow. But we are still moving things on it.
Thank you, Andy. Only one more thing I have is that I look forward to the citizens of East Manchester Township to let us know their thoughts and their opinions on, it sounds like it's inevitable that something's coming into Musser Farm. So, let us know what you think should be the outcome there, because we do appreciate your input. Make a motion that we pay all bills.
Second that?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Andy, we do not need executive and the staff needs it?
I think it depends on if you want to discuss zoning hearing board cases.
Yeah, we do. So,
We'll adjourn the executive, or not adjourn.
That's
but,
recess.
so with that, I'll make a motion, we recess to executive session.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Glenn, for your.
Yes.
We're gonna need you in the executive session. Okay.
I said, we need Byron.
It's just,
There is something, sort of erosion cemetery pulled by forestry. However, so if they disturb more than 5,000 square feet,
Huh?
then we have less penalty.
Hold on real
Okay,
quick.
If they go over an acre disturbance, then